Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves.
Hey, all you minties! Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your advanced look at the Ultimate Spider-Man Death of Spider-Man Omnibus from Marvel Comics. This is the new printing, so let's check it out together. And welcome back, everybody. Now, before getting started, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advance copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on February 27th or 28th, depending on where you get your books. And speaking of direct market and book market, what we're looking at here is the Mark Bagley cover. This is the direct market cover that features Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man that is, against the Ultimate 6. And on the left-hand side is my original printing. This is the cover that they're also going to use for the direct market. Really nothing that is said back here about the description of the book. Just shows the contents down there, and then up here, a gut-wrenching showcase of emotional drama. I think that's the best way to put it. Now, before I take the dust jacket off, I wanted to talk about how does this fit into the reading order of Ultimate Spider-Man, because there's a lot of confusion with this title. This is going right here because we have Volumes 1, 2, and Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 3. We have the upcoming Volume 4 that leads into this with just minor double dip. But then eventually we might get a Volume 5. As a matter of fact, this is the book that people voted on to get reprinted. But when I asked Marvel if they could rebrand it or rename it to Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 5, I remember David saying he would think about it, but then his team came back and said they already have plans to map out an Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 5. I don't know when, it could be years when that comes out. So it's going to be mapped differently. I don't know how it's going to be mapped differently. But I did want to mention that this is going to be treated as an event because of one of the miniseries that's collected in here. But I wanted to go ahead and mention that before talking about any of the spoilers in a little bit. Alright, let's look underneath the dust jackets. Looking different. So here we have the flaps right here. The Goblin and the Spider forever intertwined. And then the little blurbs about the creators, the bios on them. And it looks the same as the original printing, so much so that the font even looks the same. This time around, we have a image from Mark Bagley. That's a wraparound image that's taken from inside of the book. Whereas this one looks like the old format of Marvel Omnis. It's like this faux white leather with the foil stamp right there of Ultimate Spider-Man, Death of Spider-Man, and the logo, and then nothing on the back. Printed at the Donnelly printer in 2012. It's been some years. And then this one printed at the iMac printer. Just so you can see a little bit of the difference here in the thickness, and not really much. I'll do a comparison here in a little bit. But now I'm going to focus on this book. We're going to open it up, look at the artwork in here, and talk about the stories. But first, let's talk about what's collected in here. Alright, let's go ahead and crack this open. We have some red end sheets here. And the book collects Ultimate Comics Spider-Man number 15 and 150 to 160. And then Ultimate Comics Avengers versus New Avengers 1 through 6. And then Ultimate Fallout 1 through 6. The book has 608 pages and retails for $100. So here's your table of contents, and pretty much all written by Brian Michael Bendis, with the exception of the miniseries of Ultimate Comics Avengers versus New Ultimates. That's written by Mark Miller. Ultimate Fallout also has different writers come in here and write a couple of the stories. Like you have Jonathan Hickman write the story in Ultimate Fallout 3 with Nick Spencer. It's just both of them coming in and writing the different characters that are facing an aftermath of a story. Here you have what previously happened. Okay, we're going to have to talk about some spoilers. So just in case you've never read this before and you're going through Ultimate Spider-Man right now and enjoying the ride, by all means, skip this part and move on to the comparison part of the video. Timestamps are in the description. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So what had previously happened and what will be covered in Omnibus Volume 4 is somebody has been impersonating Peter Parker, and that somebody has figured out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So he is out to destroy Spider-Man's personal life and his superhero life. And that all comes to a close at the end of the fourth omnibus, which is really interesting. I said that there might be a little bit of double dipping, and that's because Ultimate Spider-Man number 15 is also collected in Volume 4. So it's also collecting that in here. It's what kicks off this particular storyline. And in this omnibus, you see the aftermath of that story. This character that pretended to be Peter Parker has messed psychologically with the supporting cast, mainly Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy, kind of playing them at odds. And if you're wondering, wait a second, Gwen Stacy, I just read the third omnibus. What's going on? Well, you can find out for yourself. I'm not going to spoil that. I'm not going to go that deep into spoilers, but I do want to warn people ahead of time. I have to talk about the things that happened previously. So, in the previous volume, you find out exactly how many people have found out about his secret identity. And then during this time, he's also living with Bobby Drake, who's Iceman, and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. And they all go to the same high school together. Bombshell, who's another superhero that showed up in previous volumes, is also going to the high school. And he's trying to make amends with Mary Jane. He's trying to, patch things up. He doesn't know exactly what to do. And that's why a lot of people really enjoyed this book and this particular run, is because it did feel like that drama that was missing from the 616 Spider-Man, that teenage drama that people love so much. And then we move on to issue 150. I'm not going to go, I swear, into detail about each and every one of these issues. This is the fight against the Ringer. But the most important thing that happens through these issues is that the Avengers, the Ultimates, as they're known in this book, are having a meeting about what to do with Spider-Man. They know that he is a 15-year-old kid, and they're all deciding, should he be invited to join the Avengers? And of course, you have opposing sides. They're like, no, he's not ready to join the Avengers. Are you kidding me? But eventually they decide to create a program for him. It's kind of cute. It's actually like a after-school program that he has to go after school and become like a superhero. Kind of like what they did in the 616 universe with the Avengers Initiative. And then eventually the Avengers Academy. And we have this interesting storyline right here with Mysterio and Black Cat that are trying to capture the Kingpin's key. He had this key that he could control people, and that's how he became the Kingpin. And that's what they're after. But he wants to know how she knows about it, and that opens up a completely interesting subplot that happens throughout these issues, while Spider-Man is learning how to be a proper superhero. Mainly from Captain America. It's interesting, the dynamic between him and Iron Man and him and Captain America. Now, why he joins the Avengers, or I'm sorry, the Ultimates, I keep calling it the Avengers, becomes really important because it leads into the miniseries. And the miniseries is this Ultimate Comic Avengers versus the new Ultimates. So there's a new Ultimates team that is put together by none other than Nick Fury. This is Peter Parker, Ultimate Peter Parker, trying to get a job. There's the Rocket Racer. And then this is what kicks off the miniseries. So in this miniseries, pretty much the premise of this is that somebody has been selling the intel to an outside government force. Somebody's been telling the enemies the secrets of the Ultimates. So it pitches the new Ultimates versus the original Ultimates. So you have Nick Fury leading a team of Frank Castle, leading a team of James Rhodes and Blade, and a couple of other characters fighting against Ultimate Captain America, Ultimate Thor, and Ultimate Iron Man. They're turning on each other, lots of twists and turns, but something happens here through these pages that involves the character of Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, he gets hurt, which puts him in kind of a weakened state, and that goes into the main story arc of Ultimate Spider-Man that continues right here. with issue 156. So in this particular storyline that Mark Bagley comes back for, teaming up again with Brian Michael Bendis because he just loves the character so much, we see the return of the Ultimate Six. We have Electro and Sandman and Kraven and Dr. Octopus and Vulture. Now this is a new Ultimate Six because if you read the original Ultimate Six series, there's a different member on this team. And it is this right here that leads into the demise and the title of this omnibus. And you can find out for yourself exactly how it happens. I said that he was hurt in the the mini series. It's such a long title. Ultimate Comics Avengers versus New Ultimates. And in here, he makes his big fight against all these villains that are coming for him. Because remember what I said, this villain that pretended to be him in Volume 4 ruined his personal life and also his superhero life. So now they're gunning for him. They know who to come after. The villains know who to target. And you can find out how that ends. I will say, man, it is a punch to the gut. It's a very powerful read. Even if you haven't read the previous Omnis and you're just vaguely familiar with the character of Spider-Man, it's a powerful, strong read. And the Fallout issues pretty much focus on the aftermath, how the supporting cast is dealing with Ultimate Spider-Man's death. And it's a really powerful story too, because in here you're going to see characters that take the blame for letting Peter Parker die, or characters that you wouldn't think would be reacting a certain way to the death of this character, because their paths hadn't crossed. Some of the stories in here written by, like I mentioned, Jonathan Hickman and Nick Spencer, but most of it penned by Brian Michael Bendis. Now, probably the most important issue is this one right here that has been collected before, and that is Ultimate Comics Fallout number 4. Now, there's two important things that happen here. For the first time, well, I guess not for the first time since this is a reprint, but now it's being collected in full, not just the Miles Morales issue or part. But yes, this is the first appearance of Miles Morales, and he is putting on the costume. Now, if you have the first omnibus of Miles Morales, this is mapped a little bit different. This is actually intertwined in the ongoing issues. I actually love the way that book is mapped. But we also have the other stories that are collected in here. And this right here is one of the most interesting first appearances, because I honestly, until I reread this, I completely forgot it happens in this volume. And that is the first appearance of somebody that some of you may know, and it is the Maker. And of course, this part is written by Jonathan Hickman. And the rest of the miniseries, again, characters dealing with the demise of Spider-Man and how it's affecting their lives. And of course, the hope of what's to come. And then in the back, you have the variant covers. So you have Brian Hitch and Frank Cho, Mark Bagley, Kaluta cover right there. I really like the pencils Quesada did right there before Danny Mickey inked them. And then this is the Ultimate Comics Fallout combined variants. Lionel Yu. And I love Lionel Yu's art in this and that image right there. And then the end sheets. I forgot to mention that earlier. Whenever it's Lionel Yu penciling this, it's Jerry Alangilan's inks that are just perfecting it. I loved that team of Leno and Jerry together. And sadly, we lost Jerry in 2020. My goodness. Let's look at the binding and then we'll do a comparison to the original print. So you have 608 pages. And it has sewn binding, and that's what the eye looks like. Just looking at a spread page, you have minimal gutter loss, but you do have a little bit. And because I want to go ahead and do it now, this is printed at the iMac printer. I know people are going to ask me. It's actually, the paper stock is thicker than... Honestly, hold on. Let's do a comparison. Okay, you have the original printing over here on the left-hand side and the new printing on the right. End sheets actually looks a little bit more crimson. And then the title page right there. And what I wanted to say is that I feel like paper stock actually feels just a little bit thicker than the original, not by much. And here, let's do a quick comparison. I wanted to use these two pages as a comparison because of the light colors being used on the page. So you have a little bit of bleed through right here, and it's the same over here. Maybe just a tad bit more in the original printing, but not by much. But if you have lighter colors or white pages like this, you can see it bleed through just a little bit more in the original printing than you can over here. But the bleed through isn't the only thing I wanted to compare. I wanted to compare the way the book laid over, especially with spread pages. So because of the way the book is bound, you can see the minimal gutter loss right here with Johnny Storm's finger that's pointing at Peter right there. You have to hold it down to see the whole thing. And over here, you don't have to hold it down as much, but it is less gutter loss. And that's mainly because of, well, it's because of that eye right there. If you notice the difference between the eye here and the eye here. And I wanted to come back to this spread because, again, with this binding that you have here, you can see a little bit more of the picture than you can over here. Colors do look a little more vibrant in the new printing. I will say that, just kind of doing a quick glance of each of them. They look a little more vibrant than over here. But that's it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcon at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus, and of course the comparison to the original printing. In the comments down below, let me know if you passed up on it the first time around. This is your chance to get it. How do you think Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 5 will be collected? Or if you have any other questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. That's it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.